Hi movie lovers, welcome back to Movie Story Channel. Today we are going to talk about a horror mystery film titled Possessor, which was released in 2020. Expect full spoilers ahead. Enjoy the movie. The film opens on a woman named Holly. She sticks a probe into her head. As she turns the dial on the connected machine, her emotions involuntarily range from weeping to laughing. There is a strange gleam in her eyes. Holly disconnects from the machine and puts on her work uniform. She enters a party as a hostess. Holly walks up to a wealthy attorney, grabs a knife, and brutally stabs him in the neck and gut. The partygoers flee in terror and call the cops. Holly revels in the blood before taking out a gun from her purse and sticking it in her mouth. Holly says, "Pull me out," and goes to pull the trigger. But her body seemingly revolts and she can't pull the trigger. Instead, Holly aims the gun at the arriving police and they shoot her dead. As Holly is shot, the film cuts to an office building. Tessa Tush Voss is removed from a machine. It is revealed that she is a possessor, an assassin whose consciousness is implanted into the body of another person in order to carry out a hit. The gleam in a person's eye indicates a person in the film is being controlled by Tush. Tush was controlling Holly's body and perpetrated the murder. When Holly said, "Pull me out," it was actually Tush talking to her support team to restore her consciousness to her real body. To remove a possessor's consciousness, the host body must be killed. Tush boss Girder gives Tush a psychological exam to ensure that Tush suffered no mental damage from possessing Holly. Girder hands Tush various objects and asks her to identify them. Tush passes the test, but doesn't tell Girder she was unable to make Holly commit suicide. Tush mentions she needs time off to spend with her husband Michael and son Ira. Girder seems surprised since Tush told her they were separated and that she thought she was a danger to her family. Tush seems not to remember this conversation. Tush stands outside her family home and practices what she is going to say and how she will emotionally react to her family, indicating sociopathic behavior. She then enters the home and is warmly embraced by their family. They watch the news, which covers the murder of the attorney. That night, as she and Michael have sex, the memory of her killing the attorney arouses her. She also has visions of Michael bleeding from his neck. Tush calls Girder and asks to come back to work and forego the time off. The next day, Girder explains she's getting too old to be a possessor and hoped Tush would take over as the head of the agency. But Girder is worried Tush might be cracking. Girder asks why Tush stabbed the lawyer instead of using the gun they furnished to her. Girder accepts Tush's explanation. Girder fills Tush in on their next job, one of the biggest ones the company ever got. They've been hired by a man named Reed, who is the stepson of a man named John Parse. John is the owner of a gigantic corporation that specializes in data mining. Reed wants them to assassinate John and his sister Ava so that he can take over the company. Girder is excited because, once they complete the job, their company will effectively be able to control John's company via blackmailing Reed. Tush will possess Ava's boyfriend Colin Tate. Tush does a stakeout and becomes familiar with Colin's mannerisms and speech patterns. The plan is for Tush to spend 2 days in Colin's body. She will have Colin express erratic behavior and then murder both Ava and John after a gala John is hosting. Any longer than 2 days in Colin's mind and Tush risks permanent damage to her own psyche. We also learn that while possessed, Tush must recalibrate the host's brain to maintain control over the host's body, which is what we saw her do with Holly's body at the beginning. The company abducts Colin and implants a neural network in him. Tush wakes up in Colin's body and Ava soon accuses Colin of acting strangely. Colin, under Tush control, goes to work at John's company where he and a coworker named Eddie discuss an affair Colin is hoping to have with a woman named Rita. Colin has a low-level job spying on people through their webcams to mine data about their lives. In this case, Colin is recording the types of curtains each user has. Tush suddenly suffers from psychic backlash while at work. She seemingly regains control and talks Girder, who is monitoring the mission, out of aborting the hit. The day of the party arrives. Jack is a total asshole who is dismissive of both Ava and Colin. John purposefully has Colin doing menial work at the company to torture him. John eventually belittles Colin in front of the guests. Girder instructs Tush to have Colin get into a public argument to establish motive for the later assassination. Colin is kicked out and then hides in the bushes until the party ends. Instead of quickly shooting John with the company-provided gun, Colin brutally maims him with a fire poker. Ava walks in on the beating and he shoots and wounds her. Ava writhes in agony before Colin kills her with a shot to the head. Colin then puts the gun in his mouth and asks for them to pull me out. Psychic backlash erupts. Colin is unable to pull the trigger. In the assassin offices, Tush pukes up blood. The assassin support staff says that Colin has reasserted control. They want to prematurely disconnect Tush, which would either kill or permanently damage her. Girder orders them to give Tush more time to try and reassert control. Colin runs to Rita's house and takes refuge there. As Rita showers, Colin babbles to himself. He sees a news report saying that John survived with severe brain damage, but confirms Ava is dead. Colin pulls out the gun and stalks Rita to the shower before blacking out. While Colin is unconscious, Tush imagines herself visiting a wheelchair-bound and scarred John. Colin awakens and hears a knock on the door and is surprised to see Eddie there. Eddie enters the apartment and knocks out Colin. When Colin awakens, he is connected to a recalibration machine and Tush is seemingly back in control. It turns out Eddie works for the assassination company and was planted as a lifeline for Tush in case anything went wrong. Eddie explains that Tush needs to complete the suicide, so that the company's cover isn't blown, and they can pull her out. Tush says she still isn't fully in control. Eddie says he will help her override Colin's consciousness and they begin a process to do so. During the process, we see Colin's consciousness enter the room and attack Tush. Colin rips off Tush's face, wears it as a mask, and is able to access her memories. Then Tush blacks out. When Colin awakens, with Colin seemingly in control again, Colin finds Eddie dead on the floor. He also finds Rita dead from their earlier encounter. Colin's hand suddenly grabs the gun and fires it at himself, but Colin dodges the bullet. He then angrily leaves Rita's house. Colin tracks down Tush's house based on the memories he experienced. He breaks and holds Michael hostage. Colin demands that Tush come out and explain what is happening. He and Tush's consciousness then talk on the psychic plane. Tush says that Colin has been in control for some time, hinting that he is responsible for some of the prior murders. Colin threatens he will kill Michael if she doesn't help him. Although Tush says she loved Michael, she encourages Colin to kill him. While Colin is distracted during this psychic conversation, Michael disarms him. Before he can shoot Colin butchers him to death with a meat cleaver. It is unclear who is now in control of Colin's body. Tush then asks to be pulled out, but again can't make Colin commit suicide. Suddenly, Colin is stabbed in the throat by Ira. As Colin bleeds out, he shoots Ira dead. It is intimated that Tush is in control of Colin when this happens. As Ira and Colin die, Colin hears Ira say, "Pull me out." The film cuts to the assassination offices. Tush is removed from the machine connecting her to Colin, and Girder is removed from the machine connecting her to Ira. The film ends with Girder giving the psychiatric evaluation to Tush. The state of Tush's mind is left ambiguous, and may even suggest Colin's psyche is in Tush's body. The end. We hope that you enjoyed the movie. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more new movie recaps. Goodbye for now.